So today we're going to work on twists, standing twists. And the benefit of doing twists is moving your spine in a way that it just doesn't normally move. So our spines do flexion and extension, not so much extension, but a little bit of extension when we look up. Or we take a back bend because we're in a yoga class. But we do a lot of flexion. That's curling forward. But the other movement your spine does is lateral flexion and extension and rotation. So most of you, when you're driving, you'll just turn your neck, look over your shoulder. But I'd like you in this class to start thinking about turning from the hips, turning at the belly. And then the last thing to go is your chin. So the twist starts down low, moves through the ribs, moves through the thoracic spine, the shoulders, and then the cervical spine goes. Okay? So those are some of the principles that we're going to work on today. But we do have a lot to get through. So we're going to review very easy sun salutation, and then we're going to get into the standing twists. So come on up to standing. We'll go through 3 sun salutations. The first is the gentlest I can make it. And then through the second, I give you slightly more challenging options, but you can always do the easier options. And then the third one is full Surya Namaskar A. Again, you can do easier options if you wish. But to take a sun salutation gently, we keep the feet apart, mostly parallel to each other. So take a look, see if your toes are turning in or turning out. Spinning your thumbs away from you to open the front of the chest. And then inhale, raise the arms up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bend your knees if you need to Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, maybe straighten your knees a little if you can. And then place the hands firmly down as you step back to a high plank position. Coming down onto the knees, keep the elbows in close as you lower down to your belly. Tuck the thumbs under the ribs, lift the chin and chest, roll the shoulders back. Maybe you push up a little bit, maybe you push up a lot. And then stay on the knees apart, toes together as you sit back on your heels. Resting the head down, reaching the arms forward into Adho Mukha Virasana. So we do try to keep the arms active in this posture. We try to keep the wrists and elbows lifted off the mat by reaching the arms forward. If that is uncomfortable for your shoulders, then bring the elbows down to the floor. If you can rest the head on the floor, please rest the head on the floor. If you can't rest the head down, but you would like to rest it on something, then that's where you might use a block. So we get nice extension in the spine, creating a long line from the wrists to the hips. So I can see a big difference here in your back from how it was in the beginning. That's good. This pose is good for you. It suits you. And then from here, come up to all fours. Start to step or walk to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. And then soft behind the knees. Pull from the hips as you pull yourself up. And exhale, arms down. All right. You can keep your feet hip-width apart if you like. More challenging variation, the feet are together. Spinning the thumbs away from you. Inhale, gazing up at your thumbs. Exhale, Uttanasana. Gazing at your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to a high plank position. Coming down onto the knees. You can go to your belly or challenge yourself by just going to elbow height. And then pointing the toes, inhale, coming up to a higher back bend if you can. And then we're going to stay knees apart, feet apart. Hips stay high over the knees as you walk the hands forward into Anahatasana. Now, whether you bring the head to the floor or you rest the head on a block is up to you. It depends on your shoulder mobility. Some of you will easily take a back bend. Some of you should not and cannot take the back bend. So you use your core to support the spine so that you have a long, straight spine from the hips to the base of the skull. Keep the arms active if you can, unless it hurts your shoulders, then you bring the elbows down. Let the belly be soft. Try to keep the feet flat on the floor if you can, or in contact with the floor. And then when you're ready, inhale, start to come up. Make your way back to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift in standing. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees, pull from the hips as you start to come up. And then exhale. All right, last Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Chaturanga has the knees off the mat. So your whole body is at elbow height. Inhale as you roll over the toes, pushing up. Full upward facing dog, the knees are off the floor. Otherwise, you're in Cobra Bhujangasana with the legs down. And then rolling over the toes, push the front of the mat away. As you push up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Unless it hurts. If it hurts, then come down on your knees and return either to Anahatasana or Adho Mukha Virasana. There is no steadfast rule that says you must do downward facing dog. If you feel like you're too stretched out, you probably are. In fact, let's check in for a moment. What is a good distance? Come down onto all fours. Wrists are under your shoulders. Hips are over your knees. Tuck the toes under. Now push back into downward facing dog. For most of you, this is a better distance. Some of you were a bit stretched out before. Kelly, you could go a little longer. Step back a little bit. Yeah, there you go. But stay strong in the arms, pushing the front of the mat away. We want to squeeze these inner elbows in towards each other. I can tell you're so tight here. So pushing back onto the hips. I'm supporting you. Let your arms be soft. And then when you're ready, hop, step, or walk to the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Soft behind the knees, pull from the hips as you raise yourself up. And exhale, arms down. Very good. All right, so those were 3 sun salutations. We don't have enough time to review the standing poses, but if we have time at the end, we're going to do a routine that will combine the standing poses we did last week, as well as these twists that we have in this sequence. So the first twisting pose we have is rotated powerful pose. So you guys have done powerful pose. Just watch for a moment. So this is your powerful pose. Rotated powerful pose has a few variations. The first variation we're going to do is this. Second variation is that. Third variation, your shoulder is supposed to be over the knee as the arm goes up. But most of you aren't going to get here. So you're either going to have your hand in the front on a block. Some of you will even rest your forearm on your knee. Okay? So that's the first one we're going to do. Now, those of you who like to have your knees, your feet apart, I would encourage you to take a block either this way or even that way if you like your feet really wide between your knees, because as soon as we twist, your knees are going to do funny things. Like golf. Does anyone play golf? The knees tend to do funny things as soon as you try to swing the club. This is not golf. We want to try and keep those knees over the ankles. Those of you who keep your feet together, you won't have that issue. You might, the knees still might do a few funny things, but it's easier to detect when the knees are together as you twist. All right, so figure out which camp you're in, either knees apart or knees together. If your knees apart, place a block between the knees. And then when you're ready, bend the knees, inhale, raise the arms up. So your feet are wider than your knees. Can you bring your feet in a little closer? There you go. Okay, now the first variation, wrap the right arm around and behind your lower back. So already we're pulling this right shoulder back. Bring the left hand to the outside of your left knee and that's your right knee, and turn your chin to the right shoulder. So a very gentle twist, but it's still, as the name suggests, powerful pose. You still feel it in the legs. We try and keep the chin and chest lifted, and having that arm wrapped behind the back keeps the shoulder open. When we come back to center, if you need a break, come to standing. Otherwise, we hold powerful pose. And then wrap the left arm around and behind the lower back. Start to turn the chin to the left. Bringing the right hand over to the left knee. And then inhale back to center. Just hold Utkatasana for a moment. And then inhale, come to standing. Okay, so that's a really gentle Pavrita Utkatasana. If you think you can go further, or you want to give it a try, you're going to bend the knees back to powerful pose. Bring the palms together at the center of the chest. Your first goal is to try and get your left elbow between your knees. So start twisting at the belly as you bring your elbow to your knees, turning your chin to the right shoulder. Those of you who think you can go a little further, take that elbow to the outside of the right knee, or even try to bring your left shoulder to the right knee and really press those palms together, pushing the right palm down into the left palm to get that extra rotation around the thoracic spine. It is harder to breathe in this twist, so you have to work a little harder at it. Try to keep the knees bent equally. Sometimes one knee wants to straighten more than the other. I know they're tricky. I see it all the time. And then inhale, come back to center. If you need a break, come to standing. Otherwise, we hold powerful pose for a moment. And then when you're ready, bring the palms together. Bend the knees, bring the palms together. Start to twist at the wrist, bringing the right elbow either between your knees, or if you feel like you can go a little further, take the elbow to the outside of the left knee, or try to bring the right shoulder to that left knee. Really pressing that left palm down into the right palm. As if you're trying to bring, that's it, you're trying to bring these right ribs closer to the left thigh. And then inhale back to center, holding powerful pose just for a moment. And then exhale, come to standing. Very good. All right. Last variation, we open the arms. It is tricky. And it's squishy because to get the left hand down, so two things could happen. You could bring your chest closer to your thighs, or you could squat more to get that hand down. So whether your hips are up here or your hips are down there, you have to work that out. But some of you aren't even going to get the hand down, so that's not even an issue for you. For those of you who aren't going to get that hand down, your hand either comes to the front, in front of your feet, and you turn the chin. It could come to a block, or you could also place your forearm across your knees. Okay? So those are your, and then the right arm. Let me just say about the right arm coming up. If your back is mostly flat and you try to raise that arm up, you're just stretching this shoulder joint. What we really want, we want the arm to be in line with the chest. So my arm goes up in the direction that my chest is going. Okay, so if my chest is here, then my arm is just an extension of that, okay? And if that's uncomfortable, then you just keep the arm wrapped around behind the lower back. Okay, so don't try to take the arm up somewhere that you don't think it should be or doesn't feel quite right. Okay, if you're going to need a block, have a block ready. Bend the knees, inhale, powerful pose, Utkatasana. We'll start with the palms together, starting either elbow between the knees or elbow to the outside of the knee, turning the chin to the right shoulder. Now, wrap the right arm around and behind your lower back. Some of you will even be able to touch your left thigh. Bring the left hand down, either outside the foot, in front of the foot, to a block, or the forearm across the knees. Turn your chin back to the right shoulder and see if you can take the right arm up. Pavarita Utkatasana. Inhale deeply. The belly is compressed, the lungs are compressed. It is harder to breathe. And then inhale back to center, either standing or in Utkatasana. And then go to the other side, bringing the palms together. Let's start with the elbows first, turning the chin to the left shoulder. Wrap the left arm around and behind your lower back. Bring the right hand down wherever you think it needs to go. And then once you feel ready, take the left arm up if it feels comfortable for you to do so. Otherwise, keep it wrapped around behind your lower back. We are still trying to bring the right ribs closer to the left thigh, just like we were in the early variations. One more big inhale there. And then when you're ready, start to come out. Either hold powerful pose, inhale up. Exhale to standing. Very good. So that in and of itself is a good twist for the lower back. And around the waist. I'm just going to move this mat over here for some of the... And those are good things for us to do for our back. A healthy spine is generally a healthy person. You can have broken feet and broken hands, but if your spine is broken, it's a tough life, huh? All right, the next one we're going to do, it would be so great if we had a room with 4 walls, 4 solid walls, but we don't, because I want to show you what this pose looks like if we had a wall that everyone could use. So we're going to go to rotated triangle. You guys have done triangle pose. We did triangle pose last week. It's this one. Now we're going to do rotated triangle, Pavarita Trikonasana. The reason it's nice to have a wall is because students can place their hand on the wall to help them twist and push. But we don't. So you guys have to try it out in the room. It is a challenge. But let me say, some of the challenges are what's happening in the back leg. Some of you will lose the back leg, the heel will start to come up, the knee will start to bend because you're doing everything in your power to try and get that hand down. The back leg needs to stay strong and the back leg needs to stay planted, even if you don't get your hand down. So you might use a block, you might use a chair. But what it will look like, also traditionally, it's as if you're taking your opposite elbow to the knee to get the hand out there. So if you're not there, you're going to stay on the inside of the foot. Keep your wrist under the shoulder, and your pose will be there. Okay. We try to keep the front leg straight. But for some of you, this is a very intense forward bend. If it's too intense, well, first of all, I would say use a chair. But if you don't want to use a chair, you could take a slight bend and then try to get there. But remember, if you're working on flexibility, it's good to work with a straight leg. All right, now how do we set this one up? This is what I like to call my cross-country skiing stance. Has anyone been cross-country skiing? It's hard work. To successfully do cross-country skiing, let's start with the right foot in front. Your feet need to be parallel to each other on their own track. If the back foot is turned in, you won't get very far cross-country skiing. So it's a good calf stretch for the left leg. We try and square the hips to the front of the mat. So pulling the right hip back, we bring the left hip forward. The twist starts down here at the pelvis. So start to twist your pelvis to the point where you feel like you cannot hold the back heel down. Once you feel like that back heel needs to lift, pull back a little bit. That's where your hips need to stay. Then we start to lean forward, turning the ribs around. So pull the right ribs back, bring the left ribs forward. Some of you just take the left hand across to the outer right thigh. That's your rotated triangle. That's where you might stay. Those of you who can go a little further, you might slide that hand down the leg either to a block or to the floor, wrapping your right arm around and behind your lower back. Turning the chin to the right shoulder. If it's comfortable for you, you take the right arm up. If it's not comfortable, keep the right arm wrapped around behind your lower back. It is balancy. It's a little bit like being on a tightrope. Holding steady the breath. When you're ready, inhale, start to come out. Okay, changing sides, bring your left foot forward, take the right leg back. If you're going to use your block, have your block there within reach. Setting up your feet on your skis so that you get a nice calf stretch in the back leg. Squaring the hips to the front of the mat. Start to pull the left hip back. Start to bring the right hip forward to the point where you feel like you're about to lose the back heel. We want to keep the back heel grounded. And then raise the right arm. Start to pull the left ribs back. Bring the right ribs forward. I think we forgot to take this arm up. Anyway. All right. Start to come forward as if you're going to bring that elbow to the knee. Remember, some of you just take the left hand to the outer left thigh and slide it down to wherever it's comfortable. Once you've gone as far as you can go, bring the right hand down either to your block or to the floor. Turning your chin to the left shoulder. If it's comfortable for you, take the left arm up. If it feels awkward, don't take it up. Just keep the arm wrapped around behind the lower back. And then when you're ready, inhale, come up to standing. And release. Very good. Okay. The next one, I give you a little leeway on the back heel. So Parivrtta Parsvakonasana. So we did Parsvakonasana last time. That is this one. Extended side stretch. Utthita Parsvakonasana. Parivrtta Parsvakonasana. Traditionally, we are meant to keep the back heel down as we rotate, but most people can't keep the back heel down. So I will let you pick the back heel up as you go into that posture. But just like the last one, some of you will need a block. For here. And your pose will look more like that. So for some of you, the only difference is a straight leg or a bent knee. And then if you pick the back heel up, it allows you to twist more in the pelvis. If you keep that heel down, the hip stays back. It's harder to twist. Okay? All right, so let's give this one a go. This will be a longer lunge. So lunging back, right foot to the front, left leg back, left heel is high if it's comfortable for you to keep it high. If this hurts the sole of your foot or the balls of your feet, the ball of your foot, then you bring the heel down. But I promise you it is harder. You know what? Let's start with the easier variation. Easier variation is on the knee. If this hurts your knee, grab a blanket and place a blanket under your knee. Start to turn the belly to the right, bringing the left hand across to the right knee, turning your chin to the right shoulder. From here, some of you will stay exactly where you are. Some of you will be able to bring the elbow to the knee or the shoulder to the knee and press the palms together just like we did earlier in Pavarita Utkatasana. Now, those of you who feel strong, tuck your left toes under and straighten the left knee, picking the left knee up off the floor. And then bring that knee back down, coming back to center. Let's change sides. On the next variation, we're going to open the arms up, but for now, I just want you to get a sense for the twist. So, start to twist to the left, bringing the right hand over to the outside of the left knee, looking over the left shoulder. Some of you will stay here. Those of you who would like to go further, you might bring the elbow to the opposite knee or the shoulder to the opposite knee, pressing the palms together, turning the chin to the left shoulder. If you want the extra challenge, tuck the right toes under, pick the right knee up. It's all right. It is balancing. Mm-hmm. But your body is learning. The more you practice these postures, then your mind anticipates what you're doing and it starts to understand. When you're ready, bring that knee back down and come out. So we're going to repeat this posture, but we're going to start with a straight back leg. Those of you who don't feel comfortable here will just stay on the knee like we just did. Okay, that's the easier variation of this. Because even with your knee down, you can still do the arms that we're going to do. So it doesn't really matter whether the back knee is up or down. Okay? All right. So coming up to your lunge, whether the knee is up or down, it's up to you. It is a long lunge, longer than the cross-country skiing stance, because now you can pick that heel up. Raise the left arm, wrap the right arm around and behind your lower back. We're going to start as if you could bring, swap feet, Pat, there you go. As if you could bring your elbow to your knee. And then we want to bring that left hand down, either to the floor or to a block. Turning your chin to the right shoulder. If it's comfortable for you, raise the right arm up to vertical, but then keep going, taking the arm to your cheekbone with the pinky side of the hand pointing down towards the floor. So the palm is facing behind you. It doesn't really matter. Don't worry about the hand. Focus on the twist. And then inhale, coming up, however you can come up. And then swap legs, yeah. With practice comes grace. Okay, right now we're focusing on strength, a little bit of stamina, and knowledge. Right? As you get to know these postures, then you can make them flowy and pretty. Okay, let's swap legs. Left foot in front, step the right leg back. Knee up or down. Bringing the left hip back, raise the right arm. Start to twist down low with the pelvis, as if you're going to bring the elbow to the knee. Those of you who can take the shoulder to the knee, you take the hand to the outside of the left foot. Those of you who aren't there, you keep the hand to the inside of the foot, either on the floor or on a block. Turning your chin to the left shoulder. Raise the left arm up to vertical if it's comfortable for you. And then spin the palm towards you, pinky side down. taking the arm to your cheekbone. Miguel, you need to swap legs. That's it. You're twisting the right way. Those are the toughies. The other two get a bit easier. Actually, we should have done one before we did rotated triangle. So sorry, we're going to backtrack a little bit. It's Parsvottanasana. It's not exactly a twist, but it's a good start for rotated triangle. Some of you will wish to have 2 blocks on either side of your front foot. So let's take the cross-country skiing stance again. There are about 4 or 5 different variations for this posture. I'm going to take you through the easiest one first, and then I'll show you the options for the harder ones. So just like rotated triangle, we keep the hips forward, keep the hands on the hips, lifting the chin and chest, squeezing the shoulder blades behind. Keep your chin lifted as you bring the belly forward and come about halfway. At this point, you know if you've gone too far. So some of you will need to bring your hands down to the blocks. Some of you will use the blocks at their middle height. Some of you will be able to bring your hands down to the floor. Either keep the chin and chest lifted or allow the head and shoulders to hang in Parsvottanasana. We try to work with a straight leg, but if it is too intense, then please bend your knee. This is also a good pose to use with a chair. If you cannot easily reach the blocks or the floor, a chair is a good option. Now, when we come up, lift your eyes first, then the chin. Come up about halfway, placing the hands on the hips, and come up to standing. And then change sides. Squaring the hips to the front of the mat. Try to keep your feet in their skis, on their tracks. Squeeze the shoulder blades, opening the front of the chest, lifting the chin. Keep the chin and chest lifted as you bring the belly forward. Come about halfway. Decide now if you're going to release the arms down to the blocks or to the floor. And then last of all, start to lower the head in a modified Parsvottanasana. Try and keep the back leg strong and in contact with the floor. And then when you're ready, start to lift the eyes, lift the chin, lift the chest, come about halfway, placing the hands on the hips, and then come up all the way. Beautiful. There you go. All right. Now, let me show you the harder variations. What makes them harder? The hands don't come to the floor. When you bring the hands to the floor or the blocks, they take a lot of weight off the leg. Okay? And if you remove the arms, then the back has to work. Unless you can go forward, then the back releases and it hangs. So the harder variations have the arms behind the back. So I'll show you 3 options. The first option is to just hold your forearms or your elbows behind your back. So go ahead and step your right foot forward. Look, you don't have to do these variations if you don't want to. You can go back to hands on hips to bring the hands down. But you could start with one of these and then release halfway and bring the hands down. The second variation, we interlace the fingers, straighten the arms, and stretch the arms back. There's 2 schools of thought on this, whether the hands are apart or the palms are together. I kind of let my students choose what feels good to them. The classical, traditional positioning is Anjali Mudra. Palms are in prayer at the spine, and we use them to push the spine forward. Elbows come back, chin and chest lifts. Okay? You decide which variation is right for you. So just like before, either hands on the hips or hands behind the back, lifting the chin and the chest. Keep the chin lifted as you come forward about halfway. Decide now if you're going to release the arms, if you're going to keep them behind your back, and then exhale into the forward bend. It is a little balancy when you don't have the security of the hands on the floor. And I won't keep you here for too long, just one more breath. And then inhale, raise the gaze first, then the shoulders, then the chest, then the belly. Go back into your back bend. And then exhale, release. Okay, swapping legs. Left foot forward. If you held your arms, try to change how you held them. If you interlaced your fingers, try to change the interlace. These are really subtle things, but we don't want you going out of here lopsided. So when you're ready, choosing the variation that's right for you, lifting the chin and the chest. Keep the chin lifted as you exhale. Come forward about halfway. Decide if you're going to release the arms or keep them behind your back as you go a little further forward. Try not to hold the breath. Still breathing deeply. And then when you're ready to come up, lift the chin and the chest. Start to roll the shoulders back, stretching the front of the belly, gazing up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, release. Okay. All right, now I promise the next two are very gentle twists. The first one is Pavarita Ardha Prasarita Padottanasana. Now, we did not do this last class, but it's a pretty easy forward bend. It's basically standing with the legs wide apart, and you take forward bend. That's all it is. How does it get more challenging? It gets more challenging by taking your head to the floor. Okay. Or, yeah, and then from there you can go into headstand and some other cool things. But we're not going there, at least not today. So I would like most of you to have your blocks in front of you. If you're pretty flexible, you probably don't need the blocks in front of you. The feet are mostly parallel to each other unless it hurts the outside of your ankle. If it hurts the outside of your ankle, then we turn the feet out slightly and take a slight bend in the knees. Otherwise, the knees are straight and the feet are parallel. Your feet should approximately be under your hands. So that's ape index, fingertip to fingertip. Try and keep your hips exactly where they are, in line with your feet. As you start to fold at the crease of the hips and bring your hands down to the blocks or to the floor, trying to keep the spine long and lifted. So some of you will just stay here. This is your forward bend. Some of you can go a little further. You might take the blocks down a level. Some of you will move the blocks aside and take the hands to the floor. Those of you who feel you have good flexibility, we walk the hands back so that the fingertips are in line with the toes, and the wrists are going towards the heels. Generally, our feet are longer than our hands. Elbows stay over the wrists as you bend the elbows and bring the head wherever it goes. Maybe it just hangs there, and that's okay. But if you let the head hang, then really let the head hang. Don't try to hold it up. Let the neck release and relax, and get a nice stretch there in the back of the neck. Let the weight of the head give you a little bit of traction in the spine. Now from here, we're going to come into a twist. So come back up about halfway, whether that's on a block or on the floor. Place your right hand in the center, just under your nose, and start to wrap your left arm behind your lower back, turn your chin to your left shoulder, and then take the left arm up to vertical. So a really gentle twist. Those of you who feel like you can twist more, you can take the right hand over to the left foot. And then when you're ready, release back to center. Changing sides, placing the left hand under the nose, on a block or on the floor. Start to wrap your right arm behind your lower back. Turn your chin to the right shoulder, and then raise the right arm up. Those of you who can go further, take the left hand over to the right foot. It gives you a little more twist in the thoracic spine. Taking an inhale in the twist, exhale back to center. Now we've been here for a while, so we're going to take our time coming up. Turn the heels and toes in, then maybe heels and toes again. Hands on the hips as you slowly make your way up. Okay. Now while I've got you guys facing that way, we're going to take Parigasana. Parigasana is on the knees. So if you think that's going to be uncomfortable for you, you might fold your yoga mat a couple of times in the middle so you have some more padding for your knee. We won't be here for too long, but consider that. Okay, so coming down onto your knees. So the twists that we've done are rotational movements. This is lateral flexion and extension, Parigasana gate pose. Stretch your left leg out to the left. There are a few different options for that left foot. I like to turn it in. Some people like to turn it out. Some people like to place a block under the ball of their foot so that the foot is up at an angle. It depends on your ankle and how your foot feels. Whatever happens, what I want you to focus on is keeping the right hip over the right knee. Now raise both arms up overhead. Start to try and keep your hands together for as long as you comfortably can as you lean to the left leg, getting a long stretch on the right side of the body. And then release the left hand down to the leg. See if you can go a little further. And then inhale, come to center, arms overhead. And then bring the hands down onto both knees. Transition to both knees, and then stretch your right leg out to the side. The floor is a little slippery, yeah. All right, try and keep the left hip over the left knee. That's it, Diana. And then raise both arms up overhead. Try to keep the palms together as you lean to the right leg, getting a long stretch on the left side of the body. And then release the right hand down to the leg. See if you can go a little further in the stretch. Turn your chin slightly to the left shoulder. Keep breathing. And then strong inhale as you come back to center, raising both arms up overhead. And then exhale out. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to lie down for Shavasana now. If you'd like to lie down on a blanket, grab a blanket. We still have a few extras. If you're uncomfortable on your back, if you feel any gripping on the lower back, Perhaps bend your knees. You all right? Bring your knees together, take the feet apart. We don't have much time, but if we had more time, you might place a bolster under your knees. And having the bolster under the knees helps the lower back to relax. Try to notice with each breath the heaviness of your chest, the heaviness of your spine, the weight of the arms, and the weight of the legs. There's effort on the inhale to lift the chest, but then we release that effort with the exhale. We let go. Sometimes the hardest thing to do in Shavasana is to quiet the mind. You're not moving. You're not thinking. And so the mind will sometimes start to wander on things outside this room, reflecting on the past or anticipating the future. When you're reflecting on the past or anticipating the future, you're not being present in the here and now. So if you're struggling to focus the mind on the present, bring your awareness to your breath, to the sensations in the body that you're feeling here and now. The rise and fall of the chest, the air flowing in and the air flowing out. Start to bring some gentle movement back into your fingers and your toes. When you're ready, take a big inhale, exhale through the mouth with a sigh, just letting the air go. And again, inhaling fully. That's a release of the effort. No longer trying to control the breath. And then bend your knees, roll to your right side, just resting on your side for a moment. And then when you're ready, roll over a little further onto your right arm. Start to use the strength of your arms to push yourself up to sitting. And come to a comfortable seated position, either with the eyes closed or your gaze downwards. And then if you like, bringing the palms together. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.